Check out the Fight pay-per-view schedule. Watch on the biggest screen in the house. What's the Fight tonight? MMA, boxing, pro wrestling, live on pay-per-view. Just tap play and pick a screen to watch on. Playback shifts in.
Can you feel the power? I hope you can. Hope it didn't blare your ears off, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the MMA Power Hour. So glad to have you here. I know what you're thinking. How can this older guy keep looking this good every week? I don't know. I don't even have a stick of makeup on. But anyway, I'm just kidding. Well, I am so happy and honored today to be in the presence of the Honorable Dr. Adam Rorta, just nominated to the U.S. Supreme Court. So not only is he a doctor, but now a Supreme Court Justice. My question is, there must be kind of this internal battle, Dr. Adam Rorta, where half of you wants to pass judgment over the other half, and the other half wants to do exploratory surgery. How do you deal with that?
I have not figured it out, and I highly doubt that I will. My doctoral thesis was on rat poison and how that affects minors. I don't even remember. It was just something out there.
It was in a different lifetime, you know. But
there was no thesis, and I am not a doctor, but I am a Supreme Court justice as of yesterday.
Yes.
Not true at all either.
You're dispelling all these. You're killing all the illusions I had and all this stuff I heard from the grapevine. Is this grapevine no longer effective, or what?
I don't know what grapevine you're dealing with.
Forget about it.
Sounds like one full of LSD.
It's just, as they would say, some of my old friends in England say, so I've been given some duff information. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we'll forget about that duff information right now. Dr. Adam Rorta, how are you? You're looking great. I'll take this opportunity to have a little bit of a this drink that someone left for me. Hopefully no rat poison in this. And let us know what you've been doing, how you're feeling, and what's going on with Dr. Adam Rorta.
Well, just working on the studio, dealing with these glitches that, as you saw earlier, we had. The internet can be kind of a finicky thing every now and then, and it's just really interesting that it decided to go down like literally 30 or 40 seconds after we went live. Whatever. We've got an awesome studio here. You can tell we got things changed up in the background for me, not so much in the background for Colin, but we have a lot going here with new cameras, new lighting, everything being stepped up. So it's just all really exciting. In the next few weeks, our cameras are stepping up even more. Our audio equipment is as well. You kind of hear an echo from our new studio. We're treating things a little better here over time. So over the next couple months, things are just going to get a lot more professional looking and sounding for everybody that's tuning in. So I'm really excited for that. And also, man, I want to, we'll talk about this later in the show, but this John Fitch and Rory McDonald fight really has me in a tizzy still. So we'll talk about that later. Yep. I really do want to give a shout out real quick to everybody that's tuning in, especially with this little mishap that we had. It's kind of hard to get people to come back after we started something already. Unfortunately, dealing with the internet, it does happen to us. So those of you that are here, please like, comment, and share. The shares will really help us get the word back out there that we're live now, and should be issue free. Really should be. I want to bring up Digi South. You see him on the screen in the bottom right hand corner of the screen right now. It went on to somebody else, but Digi South has been a big part of being able to make everything happen in this new studio. They are a social media marketing and branding company that works on development of content, as well as development of careers for influencers, for musicians, filmmakers, that really able to do pretty much everything. Their main focus is in the area of social media, but they do step out into other realms of production and just really good at what they do. Also want to say thank you to Combat Press for always sticking there with us and sticking our stuff on their website. You guys are the best. They do have the best news for all things combat sports related. Make sure to go over to combatpress.com, where every fight has a story.
Absolutely. And the man with the best beard is also employed. Other than Dr. Adam Rorta, his beard is more of a trim goatee, but the man with the best big beard, thick beard, is the great Rob Tatum over at Combat Press. So also want to let you guys know, You want to get some great training, do some amazing jiu-jitsu, have some great, make some great friends, camaraderie. Come down and train with me and us down at Fabiano Iha and Paulo Tiago. Yes, Paulo Tiago is now there, the amazing former UFC fighter, probably soon to be once again UFC fighter, amazing guy working with the military police in Brazil. All the respect in the world. Paulo Tiago, amazing teacher. We have lightweights there, we have welterweights there, we have middleweight to light heavyweights like myself, light heavyweights, and we got a bunch of big men there. So North Hollywood X Action Sports, come down and train with me, and more than likely you'll be able to beat me, but you never know. I've still got a few things left, purple belt skills, and my body not completely stiff from age yet, so we'll have some fun. Women are down there too, men and women. Come down, train with us. Paulo Tiago, Fabiano Iha, X Action Sports in North Hollywood. Be there, baby. Anyway, Dr. Adam Rorta, we have a first guest. I think we're slightly late on because of our time delay. The men who love our news, our guys from the United Kingdom, I believe will be shown at the end of the broadcast here today. Is that correct, Doc?
Absolutely, positively. We will be showing the weekly news update at the end of this show. But in the meantime, just to keep things on schedule, we do have our next guest popping up, and we will just go right into the Skype dance here, Colin. I believe we're right on time.
Also want to say, met some great Australians this past week. So g'day, mates. Great to know you there. Welcome to the show, all my fellow Australians. Thanks. Anyway, that was not so bad, right, Doc? That was one of the better accents I've done, I think, wasn't it?
It was all right.
Thank you. I'll take it. All right, from Doctor is a high praise. Let's see here. Here we go. Randy, can you hear me?
Yes, this is Randy.
Fantastic. We got video there. You're not going to be able to look at us because of the cameras that we have going, but if you make sure that your head is in the square, or at least part of you, we can see you. And this is okay, slightly far away, but I think it's okay. Let me ask my great co-producer, Doc, is this good enough? Yep, we're good. Randy Franklin, let me give you a proper introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, this guy is awesome. He is an active MMA fighter, soon to be 62 years old, unless he's at his birthday. And you got that right, 62 years old. So many of us over 40 and also over 50 say that we jump back in it, or we jump in it at some point. 0.1% of us do that. Over 60, 0.001 of us jump in, and that one is Randy Franklin. Big respect to you. Welcome to the MMA Power Hour, my friend.
Thank you, sir.
So you aren't a guy who's fought MMA for years, but you had an athletic background, and you were a rugged, tough guy, and you just said, what the hell, I like the idea of fighting, and this is about 3 years ago. Give me more details, because I know I've left some things out. You must have been a fight fan or knew somebody who fought. Set it up a little bit. Let me know how the heck you jumped in your late 50s to MMA fighting, and have been doing it for a couple, 3 years now.
Well, not to be short on ego, but you said I was a rough guy. I always have been a rough guy.
Yes, there we go. That's what I meant. I wasn't taking that away from you. For you to be in it, yeah, all respect to you, brother.
I'm just throwing an icebreaker out there.
I love it.
So, I was raised in Baldwin Park, California. Want to give a shout out to all my homies down there in Baldwin Park.
Mm-hmm.
We were raised up in East Los Angeles County, and it was a pretty rough place.
Definitely.
I grew up in a pretty rough family. By the time I was in high school, the guys I was running with were getting some martial arts training. I couldn't afford to go there, so they started whooping up on me a little bit. So I had to quit boxing with them in the front yard. I didn't like getting whooped up very much. And then by the time I was in early adulthood, let's see, I think it was the late 70s, I ended up, we talked a little bit earlier, I was in formal dojo in Anaheim with Master Chong S. Kim.
Right.
Which was an 8th degree black belt at that time. When he passed in 96, he was a 10th.
And that was Hapkido, I believe, right?
Hapkido, correct. And then was there in the early 80s. I ended up in some training in Covina, California with Vince Bellomo, who then was the world power breaking champion.
Awesome.
And I know this is going back before probably many, if not most of your viewers were ever born, but he set the world power breaking record on AM America with Regis Philbin and Cindy Garvey back then.
Nice. I remember that.
So we all learned some tricks that aren't really tricks today, because you can just Google them on the internet and learn how to do things like lay on a bed of nails and, you know, do all that fun stuff and put on a little show for kids and stuff like that.
Right. Break stuff with your head and other stuff. Yeah.
That was before MMA.
Yep.
What they called that at Vince Belamo's studio was eclectic American karate.
Interesting.
And we had judo instructors and some Thai kickboxers and had a boxing ring. I had never even seen an octagon at that time.
Right.
So then kind of fast forward, lived in the motorcycle culture, still am, was always raised there. And, you know, never mind getting too scrappy. If I was beat up the next morning, all I knew was it was probably a pretty good fight. Mm-hmm. And then a few years ago, went through a divorce, and I didn't want to be one of those guys, one of those older guys that started doing stupid stuff. Yep. Through going through a divorce and acting out in a lot of ways. And I knew there were some a local promoter. I'm wearing his gear today, Roy Rodriguez with X Amount Promotions there. That stands for Autism Awareness. Cool. He came in gym down there in Lewis County one day when I first started training, and like everybody does, they look at me and they just dismiss me for this old guy that just wants to do some training and give up some money probably. And then he turned after a few minutes and he heard me popping some work on some bag, and he's like, "Hey, does that guy want to fight?" And so all 4 of my amateur fights have been on X Amount's card, and I just want to give him a big shout out for giving me a chance. My 5th fight is going to be June 8th, and as you mentioned earlier, I'll be 62 years old tomorrow. So my record is 2-2. Mm-hmm. A couple of those fights have been real scrappy also.
Yeah, I can imagine. Well, happy early birthday to you one day in advance. X Amount sounds like a great place to fight and a great company. Where is this fight going to be, and how can people get tickets for it?
Oh, thanks. I appreciate you asking. So my Facebook page is under Randy Franklin. There's a lot of Randy Franklins on Facebook, so you just look for the one that has kind of an orangish colored picture and has about 1 million kids on this spiral staircase. One of those kids happens to be my girlfriend, Shelly Logan. Hi, honey. Nice. She has a really hard time with the fights these days. She just don't like to see me take all that enjoyment. Yeah. But they can go on my Facebook page. They can buy. The fight is going to be in Chehalis, Washington. Okay. That's right on I-5 in the middle of Seattle and Portland. And people can go on my Facebook page and see the event. They can pay me on PayPal. Mm-hmm. There's a link there. My PayPal address is nabrats@comcast.net.
Can you repeat that? We want to hear that clearly.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. My PayPal account is nabrats@comcast.net.
And is Blatz, L-A, go ahead, spell that out.
NABRATS @comcast.net.
Okay, and these tickets will be running what, $25, 40?
$25 for general admission, $35 for VIP. My VIP tickets are going really fast. For some reason, a lot of people want to come see this old man fight and really getting a lot of energy. Well, that's why I'm on your show. You know, there's just a lot of great people that have been supporting me. Jimmy Jennett, out of Checkered Past MMA Outreach down in Eugene, Oregon, got me introduced to you guys, is one of my sponsors, and just does great work down there reaching out to the youth in that community.
Definitely.
Do cleanup crews. Jimmy fights bare knuckles and it is ranked right up there. He's just a great man.
Really is. Another good big man. Both you are heavyweights. And Jimmy Jeanette, excellent guy, having fought on the Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. I think his first fight ever, they threw him supposedly to the wolves against Tony Lopez, and he beat him, which was just amazing. He had to go through hell to do it. I think he broke both of his hands severely. They're healed up now, but absolutely a great warrior. A shout out to Jimmy Jeanette and Checkered Past organization. Absolutely fantastic. So you're going to be fighting in Chehalis, Washington. I think that's spelled Chelalais. Yeah, Chelalais. No, yeah. You go ahead. Shout. How do you spell Chehalis?
I got to forget. I need to wait just a second.
Yeah.
Chehalis.
There we go. Chehalis. Chehalis, Washington. Do you know the arena there? Is it a high school auditorium, or what's the place called?
That's at an MMA gym down there, Echo Valor.
Excellent.
That's owned by Phoenix Echo. Really good gym down there in Lewis County.
Excellent. And this is June 8th, and it's going to be for X Amount?
Yes, X Amount
Promotions in Chehalis. There we go. And the auditorium is called something Valor. Shout that out one more time, would you?
Echo Valor.
Echo Valor. So if you guys want to see Randy fight, he's an amazing tough guy. At tomorrow, 62, so that means June 8th, he will be 62. He can fight. It's not a joke. He's a serious badass, a nice guy, martial artist for many years, and then jumped into MMA at this age. So if you can get there, you don't want to miss it. $25 or $35, incredible. Let me ask you, Randy, if you had been aware of MMA when it started in 93. If you're going to be 68 next month, then you were born in 51. So in 93, you would have been 42. Let me pose two questions to you. If you had been aware of it then and had some sort of contacts with promoters or some people that you knew, would you have jumped in then? And the second thing is, if you were 25, 27, 22, and the sport existed, would you have jumped in then? Answer both of those questions for me.
Yes and yes. But there are two other mitigating circumstances. Number one, I'd like to say I was busy raising a family at that time. But number two is I was an iron worker and a logger, and I was mixed up with drugs and alcohol. I've been clean for 29 years now, and I owe a lot of this to my recovery and being able to make more sound decisions today. But I really wish I would have had the opportunity, the wherewithal, the common sense to stick with my passion when I was a younger guy, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, it's nice that you're going after it now, and a lot of respect for you. You're older than me by several years, and I don't think I'm going to be able to jump into competitive MMA fighting in this lifetime. I train my jiu-jitsu hard, and I've competed in jiu-jitsu on a much lower level, but MMA, don't know if I'm going to be able to do that. Probably not. So a lot of respect for you, man. Do you have a timeline in mind? Obviously, you're probably not thinking, well, I'm looking to get in the UFC so I can fight Daniel Cormier for the title, but what is your thought? Another year, 2-3 more fights until things go real sour for you, or before then? If you have a game plan, let me know, and if you don't really, that's okay too.
Well, the reality is I really don't. I know it's really tough on my big sister and my girlfriend, but I did just a little quick Google a few weeks ago. And the record is supposed to be there was some guy up in Canada that fought a cage match when he was 70 and won. Wow. That's so amazing. That means I've only got my medical team and training staff only need to keep me in the game for for 8 more years.
There you go. I love it. Well, you know Dan the Beast Severn, one of the early UFC champions?
Yes.
He has got to be right around your age or close, I do believe. And I think he may have stopped a couple of years ago, but yeah, he kept it going for many, many years in Michigan. I think he had his Danger Zone promotion, and he was a really amazing guy. That wrestling, I think, helped him do it. Your background is more of a striking background, so obviously the wrestling and the jiu-jitsu is new. Obviously the Hapkido, you did have some throws, I know, having participated and learned Hapkido for about a year or so, a long time ago. But the ground skills, did that come easily to you? Do you like the wrestling as good as the jiu-jitsu? Not to give away secrets, but are you feeling like one of them comes more natural than the other, or both of them, or neither of them, or what?
Well, here's a moment of truth, because I'm more of a striker. Most of my work is done kickboxing. I'm just really starting to get a little excited about the BJJ and stay for some rolling classes, and all the people at my gym are just, my teammates are so wonderful, they're very patient with me, very loving, and I know those big beasts don't like to be talked about that way in public, but yeah, the staff, I'm here for about 8 months. I moved from the Chehalis area up here to Everett, Washington, to northern Washington just about a year ago, and I've been involved with Catalyst MMA for about 8 or 9 months now, working under Coach Eddie Grant, Junior Jimenez. The staff there are just wonderful. One of my coaches and cornermen, Jonathan Gover, I just can't give enough up to. I can't name everybody, but they're the big ones that are just always there for me. And Coach Eddie has given me a shot. He's got a stack of heavyweights up here that have earned shots with him, and for him and that whole team to love me up enough that within just less than a year to support me to go out and continue fighting has been a really moving experience for me.
I can imagine and I can relate. The brotherhood of martial artists is really, really amazing, and I know we probably have a lot of people that watch this show that are part of that, but we may have some that are not, that are just fans. But it means a lot. You go out there every other day or a couple days a week or even 4 or 5 days a week and just beat the crap out of each other, but it's all done with respect, and you have that bonding and that love for each other and appreciation for each other. And especially when you're an actual fighter, as you are, the work that they do, I'm sure, is tremendously helpful. It sounds like you got some big bodies over there. You fight at heavyweight. Do you have an idea what you like to come in, or what sort of weight have you come in the past? And is it the same weight, or has it varied a lot in your 4 MMA fights?
There's not a lot of variation. When I first started this, I was mostly strength training in a weightlifting gym, and I was walking around at 243, and when you're strength training and just pushing iron, you don't mind carrying a little extra weight. I like to eat. We say in the recovery circles, you put down the spoon and pick up the fork, so we all start to put on some weight usually in recovery. So I was walking around at 243 a couple of years ago. I just naturally cut down to 227 when the word divorce was mentioned. I knew I wanted to get this back on the market, so I just started eating healthy, virtually cut out almost all sugars and desserts and soda pops, not really on any diet at that time. Most of my matches have been at 227, and then now that I've been hooked up with the crew at Catalyst MMA and Fight House, they've asked me to cut down about 10 pounds. So I walk around, and I weighed in my last fight at 220. I feel really comfortable there. I know if I lost a few more pounds, I could actually probably kick up past my waist. But, I still think on tape I look like Mike Tyson, but reality is when I when I look at it, it's more like the Three Stooges.
I hear you. I hear you. I think you're probably being too hard on yourself with that. Although Three Stooges were pretty good athletes, it seems like a lot of people didn't notice the stuff that Larry and Mo and Curly could do. But no, it seems like you're a good guy and a humble man. Do you need any more big bodies over there at Team Catalyst? And if so, would people just hit you up, or would you want them to just go to the gym or contact them online, or what?
Oh, any way is just fine, but I'm sure if you drop my name, they're right over here on Evergreen Way, Catalyst MMA, Coach Eddie Grant, just a great team there. Everybody is, even if you just want to go work out, lose weight, there's a great youth program there. Coach Junior is just wonderful with the children. We have Darina, who's like, God, she's got to be like 10 years old and won her first 2 jiu-jitsu tournaments and her first kickboxing match. We've got a great women's program there. Coach Marky Grant, she takes care of the women. We have Sam Hughes, just a top caliber athlete. She's a young lady who has won a ton of amateur belts and now just won her first pro debut in like 37 seconds.
Wow, that's awesome.
And then we're fortunate enough, those of us that are pretty serious get to go strength and condition training on Sunday mornings with Barb Hanchak.
Yes, Barb Hanchak, right. Barb Hanchak, absolutely one of the best female fighters, a pioneer, Invicta champion for about 3 years. No one beat her for the belt. She had other plans and life got in the way, so she had left Invicta, but no one ever beat her for that Invicta belt. She fought a few fights in the UFC, closer to 40 after having been in the game for about 12 or 13 years. Still did very well, had a couple of wins. Huge respect, and to have Barb Hanchak there showing you what to do and how to do it, that's got to be an incredibly helpful and important cog in the works, doesn't it?
And you were talking about that esprit de corps among fighters. You know, she takes the time, her personal time out on Sunday mornings to coach us, with no charge.
That's awesome.
So that's one fighter giving back to the other fighters.
Absolutely. And she knows the wrestling. So I would imagine, although at your size, she probably not going to roll with you too much, but I would imagine if you want to know some wrestling, she's definitely someone that can demonstrate that. I believe she wrestled in college and is definitely one of the better female wrestlers, I think, of in the entire history of women's MMA.
I would agree with you, that's for sure. And she's always over at Catalyst, working with the ladies, and just really a great warrior spirit.
Absolutely. In fact, I think she was the Little Warrior or something like that. Little Warrior, I think, was her nickname or something, wasn't it? I'm pretty sure.
That's correct.
Yeah, yes. She's all. So let me ask you. I hope you keep killing it. I hope you become 4-2 and 6-2 and 8-2, and I believe in you, and I believe you're going to have some great fights. Do you have, just for people that really like you and get to know you, do you have an open-ended idea where like some of these fighters you can go on a 10-fight losing streak and keep fighting, or do you have a thought that if things go real sour for you, then you're going to cut it short? I think people are not because of your age, but are always hoping if they see someone on the show they like them, they would hate to see you lose 10 fights in a row and get ready for your next fight. So if things do go sour, would you be able to say the hell with this, or do you think that's going to be tough?
Well, yes, it's going to be tough. An ego like mine at this age, yeah. But reality is, I don't talk about injuries very much. I don't need my opponents, knowing what's
right.
going on.
Yeah.
But it's just a little tougher. Like, my black eyes are a little prettier than they used to be.
Yeah.
You get older and you just bleed easier. My last fight a couple months ago was against a big, young 28-year-old beast, and I got to give my hat off to him. We went 5 full championship rounds for a belt, and neither one of us hit the mat. So
awesome.
That stuff takes its toll. I'm sure we were both pretty beat up after that one.
Excellent. So that's good. So you're aware if things don't go good. Well, I hope they keep going good. Any thoughts you wanna leave the audience with, and if you wanna once more shout out the arena, the date, and the name of the show, and how they can follow you on social media, clearly go ahead and shout that out, and then give us any thoughts or philosophy or advice you might have about people getting into MMA, young or old.
Well, yeah, I would like to give a big shout out to, just quickly, a few of my sponsors.
For sure.
Dino Steve, Harley Davidson Performance in Tumwater, Bothell Chiropractic, I mentioned a bit earlier. Doc takes care of me really well. We've got Bear Signs, MDK Construction. One of my big supporters is the Arledge Group, political group up in the capital, Olympia. You need any conversation on politics and or business strategy, feel free to contact Cody Arledge there. And let's see, I'm sure I'm missing somebody. That's why I wrote this down.
There you go.
MDK Construction and Iverson and Sons, one of my new ones. I mentioned Checkered Past earlier. I think that's that. I think by the time we log off here in a minute, we will have people from Mexico and Canada that logged in to support me. So if you want to get in and help sponsor, who is pretty widely accepted as the oldest active cage fighter in the Pacific Northwest, feel free to contact me. The name is Randy Franklin on Facebook. Email is nabrats@comcast.net. Next fight is for Examont Promotions down in Chehalis, Washington, June 8th. And I'm going to bring home that W.
Excellent. I know you will. We'll be cheering for you. I hope people can get out there. I met a Washington native in person a few weeks ago, Misha Tate, who I know you know of. Beautiful woman, even more beautiful and amazing in person. So Washington State, great fighters, and you're definitely among them. I'm excited to hear you bring home the W. Huge respect for you going out at your age and not just talking about it, but doing it. Ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow going to be 62 years old. Randy Franklin still going out there and fighting MMA and doing it well. So huge respect to you, Randy. And I would love to be there if I can. Not sure if I can, but either way, man, I'll be sending positive vibes to you. Go out and do what you do, and look forward to hearing a great result from you on June 8th.
Thank you much. Y'all take care.
You too.
Thanks, guys. How's it going, everyone? I'm Dana Bloom from the Asian MMA podcast, here with your Asian MMA update on the MMA Power Hour. I want to give you guys a rundown of what happened over the weekend, because we've really had a ton of interesting events go down here in Asia. Ton of action. You know, I think that a lot of these are worth covering, even though they're smaller amateur shows. But this is really where we see that grassroots start to percolate up with a ton of really quality fighters getting experience to move into bigger leagues. So I want to give some shine to these organizations. Now, first up, I got to talk about, it didn't happen over the weekend. It was just before on Thursday, was the One Warrior Series in Singapore. And the main event, we had Phuket, Thailand-based Brazilian Carlos Pradas stopping the previously unbeaten EFC welterweight champ Gunther Kalada in the second round with a body shot of all things. You know, great fight right up to that point. He just ripped him with some body shots and stopped him. Great card overall. And I've said this before, I am a really big fan of the OWS series. They're doing a great job of this sort of development in bringing up fighters from the grassroots level in Southeast Asia. And, you know, if you've got the One app, OWS is free. If you're in the US, I believe they block the app, but come on, guys, that's what a VPN is for, if you know what I mean. Now, with that said, I want to jump to April 27th, and we've got to talk about Malaysia, because there's always a ton of action going on in Malaysia, and a lot of really kind of great fights. I'm not going to go through every fight on all these cards, because some of these cards are huge. You know, we've got one of these cards that's 37 fights on it, and it's like a 6-hour event. But I want to touch on all of these promotions, because these are really kind of cornerstone promotions for Asian MMA. You know, in Malaysia in itself has had a very kind of special history with amateur MMA, having had 5 seasons of their MIMA, Malaysian Invasion Mixed Martial Arts Amateur Tournament, that would span a year and get fighters from every state in Malaysia to come and compete for a championship on national TV at the end of the season. And, you know, they've produced some very high-level fighters, and most of them came up through some of these organizations I'm going to talk about today. First on the docket is a Malaysian Fighting Championship, or MFC. 24 matches on this card. They had amateur boxing, Muay Thai, and MMA, and then the last 3 fights of the night were pro MMA. You know, I didn't watch this entire card. I did catch some highlights, but I've seen MFC events in the past. And you know, they always put on really good matches, and I love that they have boxing and Muay Thai and amateur MMA all mixed in with pro-level MMA, because it gives some of these fighters the opportunity to get a fight where it might not be an MMA fight, but they can fight Muay Thai or they can fight boxing and still work on their skills. And when you're coming up, it's that kind of exposure and experience that really helps. 24 cards, it's a crazy event, but you can find MFC, MSIA is their Facebook page. They've got the link up there. So just look up, MFC, or Malaysian Fighting Championship, and their page will come up. They've actually got the full event video streamed on their site, and the video saved, so you can watch the whole event if you want. Next, I've got to jump over to Johor Bahru in Malaysia, which is home to, I think, the oldest MMA promotion in Malaysia, Ultimate Beatdown. Now, I love the vibe of the UB events. They keep their cage on the roof of a shopping mall in Johor Bahru, and it's, they just basically leave it up there. They've got a great partnership with the space, but to get to the show, you've essentially got to go to the top floor of the mall through the escalators, then out into a parking garage, and then out and around onto the roof of the mall, where they've got this covered section with this cage. And every now and then they just happen to have MMA fights up there. It really is a special, special venue. And Ultimate Beatdown does a fantastic job of giving fighters from all over Asia, not just Malaysia. For those of you guys who don't know the geography, Johor Bahru is right over the border from Singapore. You cross a bridge and there you are. It's not a far flight from Thailand. A lot of Thai fighters, a lot of foreign fighters based in Thailand or Singapore have made the trip to Johor Bahru to compete in Ultimate Beatdown. It really is that type of rite of passage for fighters in Asia, simply because UB puts on fantastic events. Again, search them on Facebook and YouTube, Ultimate Beatdown. They've got the full stream of their event up there. Absolutely fantastic. 37 fights though, all amateur. And it is what it is. They've had pro fights in the past, but they're really there to give athletes the opportunity to get experience, and they do just that. And, a lot of the champions who have come up through MIMA, which is that Malaysian Invasion Mixed Martial Arts Tournament, have cut their teeth in UB. A lot of guys fighting in one championship or risen, have come up through UB. They've gone through this sort of rite of passage, because that's the event that a lot of guys want to be in. It's a frequent one. It's good. It's a quality event. Next up, I want to jump over to the island of Borneo, home of Asian MMA legend AJ Pyro. In the town of Kota Kinabalu, they had Rampage FC, which was 8 amateur fights, also streamed online. You can find Rampage FC on Facebook. Decent event. They also had a juniors division, which had limited rules for safety, so there was no ground and pound, a few other restrictions. But think of Kota Kinabalu as sort of this like little sleepy beach town, but for whatever reason, Borneo, very much like Hawaii, has this fantastic fight culture, and a lot of good Asian MMA fighters have come out of there. AJ Pyro being one of them. Darren Lowe, who's an undefeated heavyweight, and I want to say he was like a 4-time champion of the MEMA tournament. Based or came out of KK originally. Also a fantastic vacation destination. Kota Kinabalu's great beaches, highest mountain in Southeast Asia, orangutans in the rainforest. Can't go wrong there. But I went and watched a few of these fights at a Rampage, and this is the kind of event that these smaller towns really need. These fighters need the experience of going to events that are held in gyms. It's free for people to show up. So because of the fight culture in KK, people just go and they watch because it's free and they can pop in. You really can't beat that from a cultural perspective. And again, for the fighters, it's giving them a safe environment to get experience before they go on to a bigger stage. And again, for those of you guys who don't know the geography, Borneo, it's East Malaysia, but it's not attached to the peninsula. It's actually closer to the Philippines than it is to the Malaysian peninsula. So they're very much isolated out there in the South China Sea. And half of their island is Indonesia, and it's mostly palm plantations. So, getting this experience is important for these fighters. And again, one of the things that makes the Asian MMA scene incredibly vibrant in a very rich tapestry of culture and experience is that these guys come from everywhere. Now, the last event I want to talk about is URCC out of Manila. And, I watched this whole event, great event. And one of the things I love about this event is that they really stepped it up and they had their live stream on a local ESPN affiliate, Sports 5. So it was really high quality. The production was fantastic on it, great lighting. I mean, it looked like it was a professional event, and it looked like a very well-produced, professionally produced event. Watching it on a live stream. And I want to talk about the main event before I get into the 3-man versus 3-man MMA fight and kind of what I think about that. But their main event was a 145-pound championship fight. Their champion, Mark Striegel, was going up against UFC veteran, Pancrase veteran, and Rings veteran, Sunichi Shiamuz. And I apologize, guys. Sometimes I really struggle with the Japanese names. But I was excited for this fight. If you look at Shiamuz's record, he's got a lot of fights. He's got a lot of experience, and he fought tough guys in top organizations. Pancrase, UFC, Rings. Mark doesn't have that pedigree, but he's got a much stronger record, and he's been a very dominant fighter, especially in recent history. So this was a fight I was excited for. And I'll be honest, I had Mark picked to win this fight, but I really thought it was going to be a tough one. I thought this was going to go to decision. Unfortunately, we didn't get to that point. What we saw is that Mark came out, and these guys, both these guys came out really ready to bang first round. We saw Mark punishing the legs quite a bit of Shimizu, and I think that kind of tipped his hat at the game plan that he was looking to slow him down, grind him out, and hopefully get the stoppage probably in the 3rd or 4th round. Like I said, we didn't get there because we got to the 2nd round, and Mark lands an absolutely brutal shot to the cup of Shimizu. And as soon as he went down, any guy who's ever taken a cup shot knows you know what you're feeling. And they gave him 5 minutes to recover, and Shimizu just couldn't get up. Like I said, I was disappointed because I was excited. I was excited for what this fight had to offer, and we got just a glimpse of it before it was sort of taken away from us, snatched away. But the fight was ruled a no contest, and honestly, had it gone to the judges' scorecards, Mark probably would have won. So Mark retains the title, but via no contest. And really, no fighter wants to keep his title that way. No fighter wants to win a fight that way. And the fans were clearly unhappy, but, sometimes that's the way the cookie crumbles, guys. nothing more we can really do about that. But I want to talk about this 3-man versus 3-man MMA fight that they also had on the card. And it was billed as Team Philippines versus Team China. Now, right off the bat, guys, Team Philippines looked huge. They were jacked compared to Team China. So the biggest Filipino guy looked like 3 classes bigger than the smallest Chinese guy. It was that much of a disparity. Now, right out of the gate, these guys come running across the cage and smash into each other like an unorganized game of Red Rover. Bodies flopping all over the place, people falling. Not a great look. And about a minute in, one of the refs jumps in and stops all the action. And it sort of looks like maybe they're talking about there was an illegal blow from one of the fighters. And then next thing I know, they call off the whole thing and they say Team Philippines won. It was kind of like this big schmooze at the end. And I'm still unsure what happened. I watched it a few times. You guys can check out they've got the whole stream up. You can find it linked on urccmma.ph on Facebook. But when I go back and look at it, I'm just like, what is going on? And I want to say this like outright because I think it needs to be said. Personally, I think these multiple people versus multiple people fights are stupid. They're gimmicky. And honestly, they're extremely dangerous, for the fighter. It's not safe because they let these guys sort of dogpile, and you can end up with a 3-on-1 situation, and no one wants to see that. And if I want to see that, I'll watch a street fight. I want to watch 2 skilled combatants, put their all on the line to have a great fight, and that's not what this is. Honestly, it devalues the sport, it devalues the athletes, and it puts the promoters in a crappy situation. If this is what the fight fans want to see, I don't know that I fall into that fight fan category anymore. Maybe other people out there think something different. I don't know. For me, I don't want to see these type of fights. They're gimmicky, they're dangerous, and they're stupid. And it's not combat sports. It's essentially, the first team to get a guy that finishes an opponent has a crazy advantage because now they can go 2-on-1. I mean, I don't like it. Team MMA or 3 versus 3, whatever you call it, it's not for me. So, and the last piece of news, One Championship announced that they've launched their own movie studio a la WWE, where they're going to be giving fighters on their roster a chance to star in movies. Not a lot of news out around this other than they said that they're going to be working with streaming partners like YouTube, Hulu, Netflix. I don't know where they're at yet. I've looked at it. I've asked some questions. I don't have any answers that I really feel satisfied to make an opinion with yet. I just hope that the One Championship fighters act better than John Cena. I don't expect them to be at the Rock level, but just get above that John Cena bar, guys, please. Also, Ariel Sexton is pulled out of the 1 Grand Prix. He was gonna face Doggy in the next round, but he broke his arm in training. It looks like he was hoping it would heal up in time to get back into the tournament. That is not gonna happen. So One has brought Amir Khan back in to replace him. If you remember, Ariel beat Amir in the previous round. So this kind of creates some interesting storyline tension stuff that can happen if Amir goes on to win. And even if Amir loses and Doggy goes on to the next round, we'll still always wonder, what would have happened if Ariel was healthy. So who knows? We could see some very interesting things go down. Anyway, that is all I have for you guys today. I want to kick it back over to my comrades at the MMA Power Hour, and I'll see you guys next week.
Thank you so much, Dana Bluen from Thailand. Really appreciate it. We normally have him on camera doing the video too. He wasn't able to do that, and because he cared about the show so much, he did throw this report together, and we were able to see him on the with a great picture, and he will be back doing the video portion next week. And huge respect to Dana Blue, and one of the most popular correspondents in Asia for the sport of MMA. So much appreciated as always, Dana. Thank you for all that great information. So Dr. Adam Rorda here.
Yeah,
he's right over here. He's right over, and I'm pointing the wrong direction, which is where the camera is. Like, Dr. Adam Rorda is over there.
I'm right here.
Don't
right
to
here.
my left, well, as I point to the right. And we've got a few minutes on our next guest, about 10 minutes or close to that. So I know you're really upset, and so am I, about this result of John Fitch versus Rory. All respect to Rory McDonald. He's a great fighter. He was the favorite. Fitch was a big underdog. We both called Fitch to win. We've had John on our show a few times. We're big fans of John Fitch. I'm not going to say Adam and I are his best friends in the world, because that's a lie. But we like him a lot. We have a great rapport with him. We've been fans of his for many, many, many years. I've seen him fight live a couple times. Always loved Fitch. He won that fight. Bottom line is 3 rounds to 2. As far as I'm concerned, if you win 3 rounds to 2, and in the 2 rounds you lose, the other guy's not beating the crap out of you. So in other words, if all 3 rounds were 10-9 and you win 3 of them, how the hell do you not win the fight?
Right. It doesn't make any sense to me.
No.
It should have gone to John in the first place, and then also, after that, he definitely deserves the upcoming fight, and it still may happen, which is really interesting at the end of the day. And Rory, it sounds like his heart just is not in the fight game anymore. John's is, but it sounds like he's concerned with his health. I don't know. I think John deserves the run here. Rory's just not in it. I mean, if he's saying he's not, he's not. I mean, I think he put up a good battle, but quite frankly, I don't know. What are your thoughts? Do you think that John deserves this fight more than Rory, just in general, not just going off of the fact that we think that he won? But what are your thoughts, Colin?
Happy to share them, Adam. Thanks for asking. So for those of you who are not that familiar or familiar at all with Bellator, this was a tournament format, not like the early UFC tournament where you're all fighting in the same night, but a tournament where the brackets would face each other and the winners would face each other a couple months later, and then a couple months later, and so on. So John Fitch was in the bracket and had won his first fight, was fighting Rory, who had won his first fight. The winner was going to get to the semifinals in, let's call that bracket A, and face the undefeated Naaman Gracie, who had just beaten Ed Ruth. Not only that, but another thing that's really interesting about this situation, kudos to Bellator for arranging it, Rory's title was on and would be on the line for every fight, and whoever beat Rory, that title would go to them, and it would also be on the line for their next fight. So what was particularly upsetting to me and to Adam is that the ramifications of this fight, not only was John Fitch at 41 years old going to be the oldest Bellator fighter in history, which would have been well-deserved, an amazing fighter, amazing athlete, and but he would have then continued on in the bracket to face Naaman Gracie a couple months down the line. So by doing this, and it's a question, if you lose, if the fight is a draw, how could they immediately pick Rory to move on in the tournament? It's $1 million prize too, and especially two judges had it a draw. One judge had it for Fitch by 2 points. 0 judges had the fight, 0 for Rory McDonald. So even off of that, Adam, wouldn't it stand to reason that the decision to continue on in the tournament goes to John Fitch? I don't know. I don't know whether there was scrambling going on there with Scott Coker, the Athletic Commission, whoever. What they ended up saying, they determined, is that being that Rory successfully didn't lose his title, because a champion doesn't lose a title on the draw, thereby that means he essentially won, and he still has the, you know what, they probably felt, yeah, his title can't be taken away the title they planned on being on the line for all of these fights in the future, and promised it, I think, to fighters. And maybe they thought there was going to be a problem if they told Neiman Gracie, well, guess what? You're fighting Fitch, but he doesn't have the title. Or they told the guys in the other bracket, of which an amazing fight is coming up with Michael Venom Page, MVP, out of England, undefeated, amazing fighter, kind of like the Israel Adesanya of Bellator, against Douglas Lima, one of my favorite fighters, along with John Fitch in that organization. They'd have to tell them, well, you're fighting but not for the title when you fight the guy from bracket A. So they made an executive decision. I think it was the wrong one. I think you either needed to do an old-fashioned MMA rule and say you guys got to fight one more round, either that or just put everything on hold until they made the match 3 months later. Or Fitch was the only one that any of the judges picked that won this fight. How do you give the fight to a guy? You give a fight to a guy who won on 0 of the judges' card. None. How do you give the fight to a guy who wins, or let a guy win and move on in a tournament in a draw situation who didn't win any of the judges' cards?
Yeah.
Just wrong. So what Adam is talking about, though, is that Rory made a statement after saying his heart's in it. He's not sure he wants to hurt people anymore, so on and so forth. I saw Neiman Gracie, the next opponent, made a response saying didn't look that way to him. Looked like he was trying to knock Fitch's block off. But, I don't know. He certainly tried his best. If he's lost his killer instinct, then it is what it is. But when John Fitch is grounding you out, it can make you feel like you've lost your killer instinct, if you know what I mean. Dr. Adam Broad, I'm sure you do.
And
so,
listen, at the end of the day with this, I think that Rory might be showing class, actually, in trying to get John that fight and hand it over to him. I think there's a possibility in that. I mean, Rory's a good guy, so there's a good chance that's actually what he was trying to do. And I could really see that happening here. And it sounds like there's actually potential with it, just with the medical suspensions.
Yes.
And how long is going to have to be there for Rory. And being it was a draw, it does make sense for Bellator to turn around. They kind of have an excuse still to put John in there, being that it was a draw. So I really am hoping for John's sake that he does really get this fight with Neiman Gracie. I think it's more than deserved. This fight wasn't so controversial on the calls at the end of the day. I mean, a little bit, but not that bad. I mean, the scoring was close, but the call that Bellator made it's ridiculous to me. I don't see why John is not the one moving forward in the first place.
Yeah.
But now I'm hearing and seeing that there is a possibility that he could still be the one called for the Neiman Gracie fight. And, a lot of journalists were even calling for it right away and saying that, there was a possibility that Neiman Gracie would still be getting this. I think, or not Neiman Gracie, John Fitch would be getting the fight with Neiman Gracie. So we'll see. I'm crossing my fingers for John in this case, big time. I really feel that this is one of the more controversial moves in MMA in a while, and I think that John really deserves that shot.
I agree 100%. They got to do it. Bellator, give it to Fitch. If Rory's wanting to do that, that would be amazing. That was a super benevolent act. If he really wants to, if he wanted to try to give it to Fitch, although Fitch does deserve it, it may just be that he doesn't want to take a beating or doesn't feel his heart's in it or doesn't want it anymore. I don't know, but Fitch wants
whatever reason. He's saying that his heart's not in it, and it's like Neiman Gracie said, he didn't see it that way. I didn't necessarily see it that way during the fight, but if afterwards he's saying that, either his heart really isn't in it or he's trying to kind of push one over so that way John can get that fight, and I can see that happening. So
maybe the medical suspension is probably going to be what dictates it, because Bellator probably wants to do it. They want the title to be on the line. They don't feel they can take. You know what? The only other, I'll tell you this. Another way they could do it is if Rory says I'm retiring and vacates the title. Then in that case, it's got to be given to Fitch, or at least Fitch moves on and it's put on the line vacant. Although I wouldn't want that. In case John's listening, John deserves that title. He did win that fight. But at least if Rory really wanted to do the right thing, because he can tell Bellator until he's blue in the face, I don't want this next fight, give it to Fitch. I don't know if they would. So he may have to retire. I don't know how many fights he has left on his contract, but he lost to Mousasi, 2 losses, in which really this was a loss. Even though they made it a draw, can usually get someone booted out of an organization or doesn't make that organization so excited about them. I don't know. Fitch won that fight, though, at 41 years old. All the sacrifice, blood, sweat, and tears he put his body through as a big underdog to come in and do what you and me said he was going to do and out-wrestle and shut down, for the most part, Rory McDonald with a 12-year age disadvantage, 41-29. Fitch won that fight. He should be moving forward. He's all class. It seems like he's dealt with how it's gone down. But I do hope that for whatever reason, whether Rory retiring or if Rory is not medically cleared, that will be interesting there. And we got about 2 minutes till our next guest. But if Rory's not medically cleared, it'd be interesting to see what they do. Someone's got to fight Naaman Gracie. So it would be Fitch. And I wonder, though, I have a feeling if Rory's not medically cleared, they may have Fitch fight Naaman Gracie for the vacant title, although to me it'd be wrong. They should give that title to Fitch. I don't know. If it was the UFC, they probably who knows what they do. I don't know. But I like
they might be even worse with this situation.
They'd probably bring in Conor McGregor and give him the title, but no, I think I don't know.
Probably.
Yeah,
it's a joke, but I mean,
yeah, it
probably.
would be. We want him to have it, the guy with the beard from Ireland, But anyway, God bless Conor McGregor. Well,
hey, give it to me. I have a beard.
Exactly, or Rob Tatum.
Give me the payday. I'll step in.
Someone with a beard should have that, and consider this a beard, because I might be that someone. I'll be the title, and I'll go get smashed by Naaman Gracie. Anyway, I think John Fitch deserves it, and we're all for John Fitch. Amazing performance, and John Fitch is a champion in almost everyone's hearts and mind. He won that fight, should be the champion right now. Hopefully he gets the opportunity to be that. Anyway, Doc, I know you're working on getting the next guest going. Here is the Skype. There we go.
Ooh.
Slow motion.
Skype dance is coming in a moment. We'll see when it comes.
Oh, that's no fun. So maybe that means I need to let Zach know we're reaching out to him here.
Let him know
that would be good while I get on the phone.
In the meantime, I want to go ahead and say a thank you to Cross Train MMA Fighter, where you can get some awesome apparel. Go on over there, get an awesome t-shirt. I'm actually wearing one of the t-shirts today. Just let people know that you're a fighter or a fan of fighting.
They're ready for the interview.
It's great t-shirts. I wear them all over the place. I've got over 10 of them actually that I just wear everywhere. They're just good in every situation except for maybe a black tie event, but I'm thinking I might show up with a black bow tie and a t-shirt and jeans at a black tie event sometime wearing one of these Cross-Train MMA Fighter t-shirts.
I love it. That is awesome. Well, you deserve
also, go to combatpress.com where every fight has a story, and really just stay up to date with everything when it comes to combat sports. They have some of the best kickboxing ratings, probably the most respected kickboxing rankings, as well as ratings for MMA and boxing, and they just do such a great job with coverage. There's zero fluff. And everybody that is tuning in right now, we really had some technical issues starting out with.
If you want to, when you get logged on.
With the sorry, we've got a whole bunch of stuff going on.
Zach Cummings is working on getting his Skype.
Oh, is he?
Yeah,
okay.
Continue your statement.
So we did have some technical issues at the beginning of the show because of the internet service provider that we utilize. Unfortunately, they have a monopoly in the area, so I do apologize to everybody that was tuned in and then lost us. You can find us hopefully because of this next request. Those of you that are here right now, please give us a like, a comment, and a share, so that way people can see that we're up. That is the greatest way to pay us for what we're doing. Frankly, that's the only way we get paid, and we could really use your help in getting the word out.
Yep. Any of you guys over 40 sometimes notice you look on in the mirror, or if you're on camera and you think your dad is there and you're like, what the hell's my dad doing here? And you're like, oh no, it's me. Crap. Or oh crap, it's me. Dad, I'm dad now. But anyway, God bless my dad in heaven, but I'm looking a little bit like my good old dad here, but it makes me happy. I just wish he was here. so that I could talk to him. Even when you get older, you always wish your dad could be there. So those of you whose dads are still around, I know Mother's Day is coming up, so God bless your moms, absolutely. But for your dads, you know, God bless my mom too. She recently passed and I missed her. My dad's been gone for a while, so love your parents. I remember when I was a kid, my grandmother, may she rest in peace, even my grandfather, I think, used to say your best friends in the world are your parents. And when you're a preteen or a teen, that's a joke. You're like, these are the guys that don't let me do what I want to do, and that don't give me the you know, video games or streaming or whatever the hell that I want, and don't let me stay out after, you know, a certain hour. But you know, really, your parents really got your back, and in some cases more than others with some people, but for the most part, if you have a good rapport with your parents, you know, realize that they're there. Unconditional love is what that's called. So don't forget your mom and your dad on Mother's Day and Father's Day, because you never know when they're not going to be here. And tell them that you love them, because it's really important. And if you don't, you'll regret it. Yeah.
So are there any fights coming up here that you're really excited to check out?
Yes. From our show, as I think Zach is working on this, in Ottawa, which Ottawa, I love the name, always makes me think of otters, like the sea otters. So in Ottawa, Canada, UFC is going to be there for Fight Night here on May 4th. We've got Macy Chasson, who we've had on the show a few times and who is going to be coming on in a couple of weeks, facing Canadian native Sarah Morris, who we did have on the show once. There is Zach calling. Let's answer that Skype, doctor. Zach Cummings, there you are right there. Hey, thank you so much, brother, for your determination and getting everything going. And I want to welcome you to the show. This is an amazing fighter, UFC middleweight contender, a Midwestern boy from Missouri. He is going to be fighting this. I'm going to let him announce that. He has a big fight coming up. And go ahead, let us know where, when, who your opponent is, and how you're feeling.
I got about 2.5 weeks out, May 18th, in UFC Rochester, New York. Fighting my fight in middleweight now, and fighting Trevin Giles. Giles, I don't know how to say it, but so it's coming up, getting here pretty quick, and ready to go.
Awesome. And did you say this is your second fight in middleweight?
For the UFC, yeah.
For the UFC, right?
Most of my career before the UFC has all been in middleweight, but yeah, it's officially my second UFC middleweight fight. And how did you feel in your first fight? You sure look good. Well, you know, shattering my orbital in the first 7 seconds of the fight, I felt great. So I felt fast. I felt cardio was good. I mean, I didn't feel over. I mean, you know, Trevor Smith he's a very big middleweight, but I didn't feel like the size really bothered me. So I felt great. Really excited for the move back to middleweight. All right. What do you know about Trevin Giles or Giles? Probably Giles. Tell us what. One of those. All respect to you, Trevor, if you're out there. Yeah. So there's not a whole lot out there on Trevin. With he's only had 2 fights in the UFC. It's been over a year since he's fought, so it's kind of hard. I mean, I'm not really expecting the same Trevin, I guess, back in the octagon, but man, it seems like he has a lot of fun in there, which is really cool. I love that type of atmosphere when I have that type of opponent in the cage with me. So he's always stopping and yelling, having a good time. There's tons of smiles, and you can tell he's in for the competition. And you know, same thing with me. So like, in there, gonna have a good time and put on a good show. It seems like he's powerful, he's fast, he's got fast hands. Pretty well rounded, so I'm expecting a good fight, but I think I've got a lot of experience on him, and that's what's probably going to help push me through. Yep, absolutely. Remind us where you train. I know you're from Missouri, but remind us what city you're from and what team you train with. So starting in Springfield, Missouri, but I live in Kansas City and I've been here for quite a few years. Own Glory MMA and Fitness with James Krause. And I also go out to Denver and train with Mark Mentaway at Factory X. So kind of out of camp, I'm always in Kansas City training with the Glory guys. And then when I'm in fight camp, in and out of between Kansas City and Denver, back and forth. So, yep.
Very cool. And I don't know how much you want to keep secret and how much you don't, but you want to throw out anyone that's been helping you at both camps for this fight?
I mean, with here in Kansas City, James Krause is he's got a real good jab, fast hand. So I mean, anytime I get extra working with him, it's good. I have a couple teammates here that are pretty good pros on the Midwest region. So guys like Jason Witt, who are just insanely explosive, pretty similar in size. So I've got guys like that. And then out in Denver, Court McGee was out there, Anthony Smith, Chris Camozzi, Brian Camozzi, have a lot of those guys. Another LFA guy is, Austin Jones. So there's tons of guys out there that give me good looks. So I'm just kind of getting different looks from all these different guys, and just kind of being as prepared as I can be.
Absolutely. Well, with those guys that you mentioned, I know pretty much all of them. You're going to be prepared. Those are some athletic, big, strong guys. And so I think that if you're going back and forth with these guys, I don't think Trevin Giles can throw anything at you that you're not going to be expecting. That sounds like a great camp and a great team. You feeling good?
I feel great, man. It's kind of just ready to get it over with at this point. It starts getting, when you get this close to the fight, it's just monotonous work over and over. I mean, I love this. I love what I do. I mean, when you get this close, it's like, man, let's just fight already. Let's just get it over with. So I'm kind of getting to that point now where it's like just keep the body held together. I mean, cardio is good. Everything's on point. Just let's just get here and fight already.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing that I want to commend you on is going up to a weight that's comfortable for you. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like more guys are doing that in the last year or two than used to be. Remember 5, 6, 7 years ago, guys were trying to dehydrate to one weight class and then see if they can dehydrate worse to another weight class. And that seemed to be the thing then. But now it seems like you and other people are saying, you know what, let me fight in a weight class where I have some fluid left in my head so that I can absorb some punches and not go out there completely depleted. Does it seem to you like that's starting to happen more? And I definitely think it's a good thing. I'm sure you do as well.
Yeah, so it's definitely, it seems like a lot of guys are making that jump. I don't know if it's necessarily just the times that things are different, or with the they've been trying to do all these extra little things. Not that they're hardcore on them, they're very strict with them, of like the percentages before you weigh in and how much you gain and all stuff like that. I know some states are more strict, but
right.
I mean, I think everybody's doing it for a different reason, and I don't know if it's an age thing. I mean, I feel like a lot of the guys that are doing it recently are kind of right around my generation, I guess. We're like, we've been in the sport a long time, and now we're in our, low to mid 30s and just kind of over it. The weight's not cutting it like it did. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I still cut to 85, but I mean, I was doing ridiculous amounts of weight and cut to make welterweight, make 170.
Yeah.
I mean, and now that I'm done at 70, I mean, I'll be a little more open about it, to where it was like each time I got down, I was like honestly worried about, like, am I gonna die? Like, is this gonna be my last? Am I gonna be those guys that you read about, like, dying cutting weight? And stuff. And I mean, I had a couple close calls that the body was kind of shutting down and not doing very well. So after a few of those, Mark kind of looked at me and was like, dude, we're done, and we're going to the weight. And man, honestly, like, for me, I've never really, even when I fought middleweight before, I fought some fights at light heavyweight, and I never really got straight up just manhandled, overpowered. I mean, I win some, you lose some, but like I never really just got where someone's just so big and strong I just couldn't really deal with it. And then at welterweight, it was never a side thing that gave me issues. The fights that I lost was like people were beating me to the punch. It was a speed thing. It was the guys that actually were a lot faster that were just kind of giving me problems. They were able to get in, they were landing, they were getting out before I could get to them. and I was kind of relying on my size and my power a little bit more, or too much. Where I was like, okay, it's just gonna take one punch. I'll take a couple to give one, and it wasn't my style. I was just kind of like stuck on like, I'm just gonna catch you. I'm gonna catch you, and if it didn't happen, then I ended up losing like a real close decision or whatever it was. So going to middleweight now, I'm the faster guy. I've got the speed, but I still have the power to back it up too. I got knockout power in both hands. I'm a strong wrestler. Like when I clinch, I'm still pretty strong, even though I'm not this big cut shredded guy. I still have a lot of power and strength hidden in my body, even though I know I'm not like the shredded, ripped out looking typical fighter. Sometimes people think I look a little soft, but it's just genetics or whatever, man. I'm training my ass off. I'm in great shape just because I don't have a six-pack in every fight. Doesn't really mean anything. I mean, I would say if abs won fights, I'd be like 0-40.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know, man. It's a speed thing. I think that's really helped me going up weight, and it's worked for me. And like I said, teammates of mine like Anthony Smith and James Krause, it's done well for them too. So yeah, it's been a good move lately.
Absolutely, and those are great fighters. Anthony Smith for sure, and James Krause, amazing. The fighters there are still some fighters that I think are trying to get away with shit. And there's always going to be that. But what's ironic? At middleweight, I noticed on my radar maybe about a year ago that Paulo Enrique Costa, right? And I said, no, that's not right. Something's wrong there. And a couple people say, what's wrong is he's a badass and a great fighter. And I said, yeah, well, either he has the greatest genetics on the face of the earth, or something's not right there. And people, no, don't. And I'm like, I can't prove it, but doesn't seem right. And then of course he fell out. Even Yoel Romero said this guy's not passing the test. And there you go. And then you want to know what's interesting also, over in Russia, my mouth hung open, and all respect to fighters from this area, but I looked and I saw that a guy from Jackson Wink, and we have a great rapport with them, was set to fight the Ural Hulk, Ivan Stirkov. And I had said in 2017, this man will never be in the UFC. And he's in the UFC because the fight was going to be held in Russia. And then even then, on the day of the fight, he doesn't make it. So it's, I feel like guys like yourself should be embraced, not guys like these. Guys that
appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome. You deserve it. You work hard, and maybe your body doesn't look like it's shredded to the bone, but you're not taking anything. You're a natural fighter, and you're working hard, and you're an amazing athlete. So big respect to you. What do you think about the thoughts of other weights? I think at 85, that's going to be your home. I think you feel good there. You're not undersized there. But what do you think about the fact that 3-4 years ago, Athletic Commission approved of 4 different weight classes for MMA, and it was going to be 165. They're going to take out 170, so it's going to be 165, 175, 195, and 225. What do you think of those weight divisions being added in general? Do you think we'll ever see them? And then B, would any of them apply to you or be possible considerations for you?
So, I think it's a great thing. I think it's a good idea. I was excited when I heard about it. Of course, I don't know if it's going to happen anytime in my career. So I remember when that first got passed, and I was they had the UFC retreat with all the athletes and stuff out there, and we're talking to like Jeff Evensky and some of those guys and some of those people, and they were kind of bringing up that like some of these local shows and these regional shows are going to have to start. I don't know, it doesn't make sense to me, but they were saying they need to start these weight classes first and start building these weight classes before the UFC brings them in. And I think that's kind of dumb because honestly, they should have enough people on the roster where they've got some big 170 pounders that are going to go 75.
Yep.
They've got some small 70 pounders that will go 65.
Yep.
55 pounders will go up. So someone like I'm saying like James Krause, one of my best friends, training partners. 65 perfect for him.
Yeah.
He's obviously he's doing well at 170, but 65 would be absolute best weight class in the world for him.
Yep.
Then you look at like someone like me, where I'm like, okay, I fought at 70. If you got a 75 weight class, I'm probably gonna stay at 85. It's just, but I do think there's a need for it. You look at boxing, I got weight classes every 2 pounds.
Yeah, almost.
But,
right.
Yeah, I get it. Like, I get that you're gonna have more champions and more stuff, and everybody wants to know who's the best of the best. But I think it does nothing but benefit. You're gonna get more champions. You're gonna get bigger, more of the big name fights, because you're gonna have more weight classes. You're gonna have more champions, more contenders, more number one contender spot fights. I think it's a good thing. I think it helps legitimize the sport a little bit. I don't think there's a problem with it. Now, will we see it? I think we should. I just don't know when it will happen. Then again, like, you get that the 225, so you got some of these smaller heavyweights that don't want to cut all the way to 205, which gives them a good little weight class to go. I feel like I'm always at the end of it. So I remember, like, wrestling in high school and in college, I was there, and then all of a sudden they switched all the weight classes up. I'm like, well, hell, man, like, that'd been perfect if it was there when I was there. But so my guess is it'll be past my day. But I love that they approved it and they're working on it. Anything that can progress the sport, I'm on board for it. So
yeah,
I hope it happens for sure, and I think it should.
Absolutely, me too. And it's not going to affect you, because I think 85 is your home. But you're right; it may not happen in your career. You know what that reminds me of, though, when you said that usually it happens at the end, like that example you gave when you were wrestling. I remember a TV commercial like a dozen years ago, and I remember funny things like that. TV commercials. Who else remembers TV commercials? Some people do. But there was a hockey player who someone came over to and said something like, hey, there's going to be an NHL package on ESPN now. Isn't that awesome? And he said, yeah, that's great. What am I doing? Gardening. Right. His career was over like 2 years earlier, right? So he said, but that's awesome. Right. I remember that. But hey, it's going to be good, and hopefully it'll benefit some fighters, and I think I agree they should start it right now. Hey, since I have you here, Zach, would you mind if I pick your brain and get your opinion on a couple upcoming fights?
Yep.
Awesome. I appreciate that. So we're going to jump right into the pros pick segment, and this is brought to you by Digi South. They are awesome, as is Zach Cummings, UFC middleweight contender from the great state of Missouri, and look out for him. He's fighting May 18th. So talking about a fight coming up this Saturday, we have Donald Cowboy Cerrone against the Raging Al Iaquinta, right? Now, let me give you my thought first, because your thought's more important to me than my thought. But my thought is the odds have this fight is really close. I love Cowboy, but I don't see how he wins this fight against Raging Al. I'd love your opinion, though, even if it's the exact opposite of mine.
First off, I really, really was pumped for Cowboy McGregor. I was hoping that was going to work. Man, I was pumped, and I thought that was just a fun matchup. It didn't happen. It's Cowboy versus Raging Al Iaquinta, and I think you're right. I think it's a much, much harder matchup for him, stylistically. Al's got good boxing. He's a good wrestler. He's good on the ground. I don't know. I'm going with Al. I'm a huge fan of Cowboy. He's just always down to scrap, and love his attitude and everything. But I think this is definitely a much harder matchup for him, being as well-rounded as Al is. So I don't know. I don't know. I like both guys. I don't want to say I hope I'm wrong, but I'm always rooting for Cowboy.
Yeah.
But yeah, if I had to put money on it, I'm going to say Al.
Yeah, I think so too. But either way, both really good guys. But yeah, I got Al. How about and you know what? This one actually might be on your card. So let me ask you before. No, it isn't. This is a week before. Yours is May 18th, right?
Yes.
All right. So on May 11th, the week before you. How about Jose Aldo against the Australian Alexander Volkanovski? Are you familiar with him?
Yeah, he looked great his last outing.
Yes.
Man, I forgot who he fought.
Chad, I think, it was Chad Mendes.
Mendes, Mendes. Yeah, that's right. Retired Mendes.
Yep.
Man, he looked phenomenal his last outing, but I feel like there's one person in the division that is just got Aldo's number, and that's Holloway. I don't know. He's been looking great too. I'm not gonna go against Aldo. I mean, I could be wrong, but I mean, he's a legend, and he's been proving it over and over again since his a couple losses to Holloway. So I don't know. I'm gonna say Aldo does it, but I think that could be a scrap. That could be a hell of a fight.
Yeah, I think it really will. And I'm gonna go out on a limb and pick Aldo. Although you know that what Volkanovski would say, and here it comes, my Aussie accent. He'd say, "You guys are crazy, mate. I'm gonna beat that guy like it was his father."
He might, man. He might. He surprised the hell out of me. So
yeah,
I could be wrong. Be wrong.
He's a tough guy.
This game's crazy. This game's so awesome. It's crazy. You never know, but. I'm going with Aldo, but man, I could be very wrong.
Yep, I agree. It's a tough one, but I'm going Aldo. How about Anderson Silva against Jared Cannonier, and that's going to be at 205.
Oh, is it?
Well, it says light heavy. You know what? Maybe it isn't. Cannonier was a middleweight, but recently he's gone up to light heavyweight. I may be wrong.
He was a light heavyweight and came down to middleweight.
That's right. Yep. So maybe it is middleweight, but either way, what do you think, man? Everyone loves Anderson. He's such a legend. Cannonier is a rugged, tough guy, though. How do you see that one playing out?
Man, Cannonier's good. He's tough. He's got power, and I think he never cut that much. We fought down in Chile together when he fought Dominic Reyes, and we were just talking and stuff. And I think I walk around heavier than he does. He was fine at 205. He just didn't really know how to cut very much. And, so we had that conversation where actually I expected him to go to middleweight pretty soon. And he didn't look good. But, I don't know, man, Anderson Silva is still Anderson Silva.
Yeah.
I thought he had the ability to beat Stylebender. I think he kind of let that fight go. I think he put himself on cruise control. Thought he won the second round and could have continued that going and could have won the third round, and just think he was just chilling, just kind of like accepting defeat a little bit mentally.
Yeah.
Like he was the next, one to be great. I don't know, but I don't know if he's going to have that same mindset with Cannonier and not knowing how much he has left. I don't know if he's going to like maybe put on the line and go for it. And it's in Brazil. I think Anderson gets it done.
Yeah, I think so too. I think he's going to fight with a lot of passion. It'd be great to see him leave off of a win, man. But you know what they say?
I agree.
It's so hard for people to leave that crowded light, isn't it?
Yeah, it's sadly this is a sport that you don't normally get that.
Yeah.
But if this is one of his, if it's going to be a swan song, he wanted to get another one in and be in Brazil. Like I think this is the time to do it.
Yeah.
Cannonier's tough. He's dangerous, but it could, it could just be that the stars align and everything. Old Anderson Silva shows up, he puts it on, and he goes out and does work. And then maybe hangs it up. That'd be cool to see. Absolutely.
Well, we've got about 3.5 minutes with you left, Zach, and I've got a few questions, so maybe give me like a 1 minute on each of them. And so first, how about the ladies and what I think is probably going to be one of the greatest women's UFC fights in history. Give me 1 minute maybe on Rose Namajunas defending her title against the Brazilian Jessica Andrade.
First off, love Rose, massive fan, been a fan of hers since Invicta, since they're based out of Kansas City. Yep. I got to watch a lot of those ladies fight before the UFC.
That's right. That's where you lived, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, man, she's a gangster. Very tough. Andrade, another, man, she is a stud, just tons of power. Already has a win over Rose, but I think Rose is in a different place mentally now that she's a champ and kind of got over some of those stepping stones that she had to get through. Man, I don't know. That's a tough one. I'm hoping Rose. That's the passion pick that I want to go with. But man, I think it'd be a hell of a fight. Yeah. I don't know, man. Either way, either one of those goes gonna be a solid champion.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Rose. I've been a big fan of hers. Just she lays it all out on the line. She just goes for it. If it's striking, grappling, she just goes for it, and I gotta respect the ability to just go for a finish.
Yeah, absolutely. So, that one, I'm hoping for Rose as well. I'm not going to officially pick her because Andrade is so good, but I am going to say this is going to be like the Ali Frazier of the women. For those of us who can maybe remember, that's going way back, probably before you were born, but I'm sure you heard of it. It's going to be like the irresistible force goes up against the immovable object. Bam. We got about a minute and a half left, so 30 seconds. Give me 30 seconds. Thiago Santos got a chance against John Jones, or not really?
That dude's always got a chance to put someone to sleep.
Yeah.
It's tough, very tough. I'm picking John Jones, but Thiago definitely has the power and the ruggedness to put his head down and just come in blazing. You see the Manoa fight, which is insane.
Yeah.
I wanted to throw up after that fight watching it, but yeah, I mean, he's got the ability, but man, Jones is so good at keeping people at bay.
Yeah.
You just can't go against him.
Yeah, I agree. I think though, if Jones does not wrestle, if Jones elects not to wrestle at all in that fight, he's in trouble. He's gonna have to use some wrestling. Thiago Santos hits harder than him. Capoeira are really good. Going to be exciting, I think, and it's going to be a great fight. 40 seconds left. Please shout out once again the venue, the date, and your next fight, and how people can support you on social media.
First off, don't know the venue now. So Rochester, New York, May 18th. So we have that. I've got me, my Megan Anderson, Grant Dawson, Ian Heinisch, a whole bunch of my teammates are on the card, so it's really cool that all of us are going to be there. Check me out at Zach Cummings, pretty much all across the board on social media, Snapchat, Zach Cummings _MMA. I do my best to reach out and answer any questions. So if you got anything, ask, follow. I'd appreciate any support I can get, and I will go out there and always shoot for a finish. Hate going to the judges, so that's my fight style, and that's what you're going to get.
Absolutely. Well, you're an awesome Midwestern guy, a great fighter, a gentleman. I'm going to be cheering for you. Our whole MMA Power Hour team will be cheering for you. So go do what you do, man. We're behind you 100%. And thanks so much for joining us once again on the MMA Power Hour. Zach Cummings, always a pleasure, brother.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
You got it. Have a great night.
All right,
thanks. Bye-bye. And that was Zach Cummings. So, Dr. Adam Rorta, we got to wrap things up. Great Midwestern boy. You spent a bunch of time in Missouri. He's a Missouri boy, and so I know you're behind Zach 100%, aren't you?
Oh, 100%. And I know that I've rolled with people that he has. If not, for some reason, this is the second time we've had him on now.
Yes.
I feel like I've actually rolled with him at one of the Gracie gyms out there right by the lake, and he's talked about how he has a lot of friends there. I think I have. Zach? We'll talk about it later.
Very
pretty
cool.
sure that we have.
Cool.
But real quick before we head on out, just want to shout out one more time DigiSouth for digital social media marketing. Also, Cross Train MMA Fighter for their awesome apparel, and Combat Press, where you can go to combatpress.com. Every fight has a story, and it's right there, combatpress.com.
And you're right there, and I'm right here.
And I'm right here.
And you all are out there watching us, and we're so grateful for it. We really appreciate it. And so what I'm going to do is let you know that our great MMA news update and current events from our mates over there in London and in Scotland, John and Chris, is coming right up. So don't turn off. Or years ago, they would say, don't touch that dial. It's back when TVs had a little dial you had. No, never mind. Anyway, so for those of you who remember, then you're old like me. But so stay here with us. The news coming up for 10 minutes. Chris Allen, John McElroy, mates always have great information to give with their awesome touch. So coming right up, I'm going to throw it to them. In the meantime, I'm going to let you know, thank you so much for Dr. Adam Rorta. This is Colin Crandall. Before I tap out next week, Tanya Evinger, she's going to be back in action in a matter of about a month. And Jacob Stitch Duran, Tanya Evinger and Stitch Duran for next week. Be good to each other. Be that guy, be that girl. Spread the love in a positive way. It'll come back to you tenfold. Thank you so much, Colin Crandall. And I am tapping out.
This is Chris Allen of the MMA Fight Bible and John Boy McElroy of Martial Arts Chat Podcast with your weekly MMA Power Hour news update. In the MMA news this week,
One of the most highly anticipated fights of the year, which we were waiting to be announced, that being the fight between Brock Lesnar and Daniel Cormier, has now officially been shut down, and this fight will definitely not be happening anymore. Dana White recently came and told media that Brock Lesnar had stated that he is again retiring from the sport for a second time. The reason for this is still currently unknown, but it does rule out the fact that we will not be seeing Brock Lesnar take on Daniel Cormier, which is sad to say, as I would like to see this fight happen due to Brock Lesnar storming into the cage after DC's victory, trying to intimidate the current UFC heavyweight champion. So the big question is now, what's going to happen next in the heavyweight division? It looks like Daniel Cormier will be facing Stipe Miocic, the former UFC heavyweight champion, which he defeated last year. Miocic has been gunning for the rematch for this, as he feels he deserves it, seeing as he held the title for quite a while, and now it's been confirmed that these two fighters have verbally agreed a matchup which will take place this year, August. At 41 years old, Daniel Cormier has stated that he maybe look to retire, so we all thought he was hanging around to have Brock Lesnar as his retirement fight. But now it looks like DC will be hanging around in the octagon for a little bit longer, at least until August, where verbally agreed he looks like he will be defending his title against the man he beat to win it in Stipe Miocic. Me personally, I cannot wait for this fight. I would have loved to see Daniel Cormier take on Stipe, but I feel this is probably the best option for the UFC at this time. See, many fighters have spoken out, very disappointed with how the heavyweight division has been put on hold, waiting for this Daniel Cormier and Brock Lesnar fight to be announced. Now, he's not going to be defending his title till August, leaving many heavyweight contenders a bit sour, thinking, you know, we're hanging around. What do we have to do to get our title shot? Now we're going to have to wait till after August, so it probably won't be till next year we're looking at our title shots. Curtis Blades has actually spoken out in his social networking, swearing at Brock Lesnar, stating, you know, what are you doing? You're wasting everyone's time. Let the real men get back in there and have a good crack. So let's see what happens. Watch this space. In other news, last week we spoke about the sad, tragic death of former UFC fighter Rodrigo de Lima, who was involved in a hit-and-run incident in Belém last Saturday night. There were reports that de Lima had an argument with a taxi driver. It now turns out he was an Uber driver, and he stepped out the vehicle, and the Uber driver was very angry with the situation and run poor de Lima down, killing him on the scene. So what's happened now? Someone has finally been arrested for this horrible, horrible incident. There's the Uber driver, name of Jefferson robber Maciel Barata, and he's been arrested and he has confessed to killing the former UFC fighter. In a statement given to the police, Barata stated that he started working as an Uber driver 5 months ago, and he says he was punched by de Lima after asking him and 3 of the people inside the car to bring down the tone of their voices. After this, de Lima and the other 3 left the car and Barata drove away. Instead of doing the sensible thing and reporting the attack to the police, Barata decided to come back and, as he puts it, try to scare the former UFC fighter, and claims he had no intention of actually killing him. So now Barata will be facing a charge of murder, and UFC welterweight, who was also present at the time, Mikel Pezares, has also confirmed this information is correct. Further on in a statement given by Barata, I quote, "I've always thought of a way to raise my family and not let my children grow without a father. I feel for his family, I regret it. I've already asked God for forgiveness. It was one of those things I feared the most, taking someone's life. I started working in this job to have more time in the church. I became a director of the youth, teaching music in the church, and this ended up happening. I've asked God and his family for forgiveness. It wasn't my goal to take anyone's life. I've never done anything bad to anyone. Today was going to be my wedding. I was going to start a new life, and this happened. I'll pay for what I've done, and I regret deeply. I ask his family and friends for forgiveness." So, statement given by the Uber driver, purely stating that this was a complete accident. He is a religious man, he's not out to hurt anyone, but at the end of the day, the only people that really know what happened was, unfortunately, the man who's no longer with us, and our thoughts and prayers go out to all of de Lima's family through this horrible ordeal, and wish them nothing but positive things going forward. There has also been some other sad news in the MMA world, and it will be very sad for all us long-term MMA and UFC fans. Former UFC veteran Renato Babalu Solbrouw He has recently stated that he is showing strong signs of CTE after nearly 2 decades of professional MMA competition. For those who aren't too familiar with the condition CTE, it stands for chronic traumatic encephalopathy. It's a brain condition associated with repeated blows to the head. It's also associated with the development of dementia. Potential signs of CTE are problems with thinking and memory, personality changes, and behavioural changes, including aggression and depression. So as you can imagine, if anyone was feeling this sort of effects to their body, it's definitely time to retire. You know, Babalu hasn't actually competed since a third round loss to Jacob Noe back in Bellator June 2013. So maybe he did retire slightly too late in his career, as he felt he was showing these signs slightly earlier on as well. He did state in an interview, "Today a fighter learns how to fight. He learns how to make money, but he doesn't learn too much about how to manage his life. I didn't learn to manage my life. I made several mistakes about money, about what I could have done with my career. I paid a price for being where I am. Today, I can't walk a straight line. I lost a sight of my left eye, which is a big price to pay. I have no balance today. My balance is almost zero. When I'm fighting, when I'm in a jiu-jitsu tournament or in training, it feels that my balance is normal again, but it's complicated on a daily basis. But the guys that start fighting have to know that the price to pay will come one day." During Babalu's long career, he did take on some of the best fighters ever to enter the cage in the sport, many also being in the UFC Hall of Fame. With only a few names to mention, actually there's a lot more than a few. So let's start with, he fought Chuck Liddell, one of the biggest fights he had. Unfortunately, he did lose that fight by TKO, but again, he stepped in the cage with one of the best. He felt Chael Sonnen more than one occasion. He fought Shogun, Jeremy Horn, Kevin Randleman, and the all-great Fedor Emelianenko, who at that time was definitely in his prime and very unstoppable. So, after a very long career, taking on some of the hardest hitters as well as the hardest fighters in the MMA world, Babalu really doesn't have anything left to prove to his fans, and taking his retirement, especially feeling, you know, these early signs of CTE, is definitely the best decision for him. And as he said, he wants to focus more on his family, watching his grandkids grow up, and actually living a half normal life going forward. Also, guess who's back? We thought he retired for the third, fourth time, whatever it is now, but he's now signed a contract with the Latino-focused Combat Americas MMA organization, has taken on UFC Hall of Famer and veteran Tito Ortiz. Tito Ortiz seemingly retired after coming off a TKO win versus fellow UFC Hall of Famer veteran Chuck the Iceman Liddell. Tito Ortiz obviously feels he can still hang in there with the best up-and-coming fighters, and it'll be interesting to see. He's proved it so far, and he may be getting a bit past his time, but there has been big rumours that he may be taking on former WWE champion Alberto Del Rio. That sounds to me like a money-making fight, but, you know, Tito Ortiz is probably open to fight anyone, but if we want to see Tito Ortiz fight again, I'd like him to take someone on of a high caliber to prove he really does still belong in there at any age. But let's not forget, another UFC Hall of Famer, Randy the Natural Couture, fought until he was 48 or 49 years old, I think he was, when he took on Brock Lesnar. So don't count Tito out. There are definitely warriors out there who can go through it till really the end of their time. So it'd be very interesting to see what happens here with Tito. And finally, it would be rude not to mention what happened last weekend at UFC when Jack the Joker Hermansson took on Jacare Souza. Everyone thought Jacare Souza was going to win that fight, but Hermansson showed that even stepping in last minute, he was capable of taking on one of the top 5 contenders in the division. What's most amazing about this story, with just 2 big wins in under a month, Hermansson leapfrogged many opponents in the division, jumping into the top 5 rankings. So now he stated he only wants to fight the big boys and make his title shot happen as soon as possible. I personally can't wait to see what Hermansson will do next, as he is showing huge potential, and what an exciting fighter to watch.
The refs have called it. This is Chris Allen and John McElroy with your weekly MMA Power Hour news update. Coming up next is another knockout episode of the MMA Power Hour with Colin and Adam. Until next time, we're tapping out.
you looking for a good fight? Check out the Fight pay-per-view schedule. Watch on the biggest screen in the house. What's the Fight Tonight? MMA, boxing, pro wrestling, live on pay-per-view. Just tap play and pick a screen to watch on. Playback shifts instantly to the screen of your choice.